Hey, before we begin, how y'all like the new intro? I waited some time for the anime to drop, like the Isshiki episode for example, and yeah, I updated the intro for the channel. Also, your boy rebranded the channel as a whole. Let me know how y'all feel about that. But also, I do have to say something. Some of you guys are crazy. Listen man, I know some of y'all really like my content and love hearing me discuss about Boruto, but bro, I took like 2 weeks off to chill, and one of you guys on Twitter just for some reason decided to act so aggressive in my DMs, yelling at me to upload. Like bro, chill. Your boy took a couple weeks off from uploading to focus on himself. I just got exhausted from content creation, to be honest. I mean, during my time off, I've been playing basketball, lifting, watching Bleach, replaying Ghost of Tsushima, which is a fire ass game by the way. That game is really good, y'all gotta play that. But your boy is back and better, so when it comes to the Boruto series, I think we can say that Boruto has plenty of amazing fights. Fights like Naruto and Sasuke versus Momoshiki, Kawaki versus Garo, the 2 Deepa fights, Team 7 versus Boro are a few fights that have really defined and captured some of the best fights in the series so far. But I think there is one fight that I think is the best fight in Boruto in the 60 chapters that we have seen, and it actually hasn't been animated yet. And I'm talking about Kashin Koji versus Jigen / Isshiki Otsutsuki. Now I know some people may disagree with me, and that's perfectly fine man. If you think there's another fight that is better, like the Momoshiki fight for example, hey man, that's cool. The fights that I mentioned before are definitely top tier, but this fight between Kashin Koji and Jigen is something very special. What made this fight so good wasn't just the fight itself, but more of the build up and lore behind it. To put it into perspective, Kashin Koji vs Jigen lasted about 4 chapters, which for a monthly manga is pretty lengthy, from Boruto chapters 45 all the way to Boruto chapter 48. So before we begin talking about this insane fight, I do want to talk about what led up to this insane battle, since it played such a huge role in this fight. So if you go back, all the way back to Boruto chapter 16, this is where we met the Kata organization for the very first time. And Kata was meeting because they have lost the vessel. The main goal of the Kata organization, which of course is Kawaki. Kawaki was supposed to be transported to another location via an airship to have his karma tested. However, the airship that was transporting Kawaki had actually crashed, as stated in Boruto chapter 45, as Jigen did state that someone had managed to destroy the airship, forcing it to crash and allowing Kawaki to fall into Konoha's hands. This person who destroyed the airship was of course Kashin Koji. Now let me remind you, the airship that was transporting Kawaki that crashed actually happened before the meeting that occurred in Boruto chapter 16. Kashin Koji had planned to have the airship crash, which allowed Kawaki to be taken in by Naruto. What's crazy is that this airship crash happened 29 chapters before the actual fight happened. For a monthly manga, that's a very long time, which was about 2.5 years. In the Boruto anime, Jigen knew that one of the inners caused the crash of the airship, so he already had some doubts among the Kara members. What the anime did so well compared to the manga is that they built up this traitor of the Kara organization subplot very well. The manga didn't really hint that there was a traitor until after the Jigen fight in the manga, whereas in the anime it was hinted when Kara was first introduced. Alongside that, we have to talk about Kashin Koji man. At the time, there was a lot of theories on who he was as a character. There was many theories such as him being Jiraiya, Kakashi, Asuma, Konohamaru's father. There was a lot of theories for Kashin Koji. However, the biggest theory that Kashin Koji had was of course that he was linked to Jiraiya. There was many things that made him related to the likes of Jiraiya, such as having similar features like Jiraiya, using the Rasengan like Jiraiya, using toad summonings like Jiraiya, and entering the Leaf Village undetected by the sensory system, proving that he is somehow linked to the Leaf Village, which he even stated himself. Kashin Koji was introduced in Boruto chapter 16, so there was pretty extensive build up on who his character was, since he still was such a mystery leading up to this fight. Even when he infiltrated the Leaf Village, we still really didn't know his true intentions. At first, it was thought that he wanted to gather intel about Kawaki when he was in the Leaf, but as we progressed throughout the story, Koji's intentions were beyond something more than that. It was more like that Koji was trying to learn about how the karma seal works, as when Boruto sparred Kawaki, Momoshiki suddenly healed all of Boruto's wounds instantly, which Koji immediately notices. Fast forward to Jigen teleporting to the Leaf Village to retrieve Kawaki. Koji is caught by surprise that Jigen suddenly came to the Leaf to get Kawaki. Koji knew that Kawaki was the key to fulfilling the goal of the Kara organization and was needed to be taken back, but why didn't Jigen try to do this earlier? What was the point of a vessel retrieval mission in ordering people like Ao, Garo, Kashin Koji, and Delta to retrieve Kawaki, when in fact Jigen could teleport anytime via Kawaki's karma seal to bring him back in the first place? Well, the reason why Jigen didn't do this earlier was because he wanted to draw out the traitor among the inners. The Boruto manga really didn't hint at this subtle detail very well, but currently the anime has added these small details in to make this plot point a little bit more relevant in the story. Jigen teleporting via Kawaki's karma was huge, because there he was able to see one of Koji's frogs, which Koji tries to hide from Jigen seeing it, but Jigen had already seen it at that point. This gave Jigen a hint that Kashin Koji was lurking and had different intentions than what was previously thought. Instead of Jigen's true motives being watched by having Koji learn about the Karma Seal and watch over Kawaki instead of retrieving him, it was Koji's motives being scrutinized due to Jigen luring out the traitor but not bringing Kawaki back right away. After Jigen teleports Naruto to another dimension using his Karma Seal, this is where we get Naruto and Sasuke vs Jigen, and y'all already know the end result of that. And what's actually interesting is that Koji was able to sneak in one of his toads into the battle, where he was actually able to see the whole battle between Naruto and Sasuke versus Jigen. In this fight, Jigen's raw power was on full display as he easily overpowered the boys, but in the end, his body began to break down. This allowed Kashin Koji to have the opportunity of a lifetime to be able to take down Jigen due to him being severely weakened after his beatdown on Naruto and Sasuke. Jigen, while resting at the Kara hideout, was currently at less than 10% full power, which allowed both Koji and Amato to make their move on betraying Kara and taking down Jigen. Before we even get to the fight itself, there was an immense amount of build up to this fight, as Kashin Koji's true identity was still in question, Jigen's true motives were still unknown, and Amato's defection into Konoha. Amato joining the Leaf Village was huge as he revealed that Isshiki Otsutsuki came to Earth alongside Kaguya and hopped into Jigen's body after being betrayed by her. This is where Isshiki controlled Jigen's body and created the Kata organization with one goal: to find a perfect vessel for Isshiki to reincarnate through to harvest a chakra fruit to gain more power. Now that Jigen's body was severely weakened, it was the perfect time for Koji to strike. This was Amato and Kashin Koji's true motive: to play as Kara members and take down Jigen. Jigen is an imperfect vessel of Isshiki Otsutsuki, so Isshiki needed a perfect vessel like Kawaki to reincarnate through, or else if he had reincarnated through Jigen's body, Isshiki would have died due to Jigen not being able to take Ishiki's massive chakra reserves. That's why Kara needed a perfect vessel like Kawaki to fulfill this plan. The build up to this fight definitely is the most build up we have seen in Boruto so far, with so many revelations at stake. The only fight I see topping this in terms of build up is episode 1 with Boruto and Kawaki, but we don't know what actually caused them to fight each other yet in the story. Now let's talk about the fight itself, where the fight begins as Kashin Koji tells Jigen that he was created to kill him, implying that Amato created him just for the purpose of taking down Jigen. Jigen claps back saying Koji is nothing more than a tool being used by Amato. Koji immediately replies by saying that's fine, as that's what shinobis are for. This theme of shinobis being used as tools is a very important theme that was pushed in this fight, as this was something that was emphasized from the very beginning of the Naruto series, dating back to the Land of Waves arc. In Naruto chapter 32, Zabuza states that shinobis are like tools. They are either using others or are the ones being used, just like how a tool works. Naruto, even as a kid, is against this way of thinking as he begins to shed tears for Haku, knowing that he died as a tool for Zabuza. While Jigen and Kashin Koji both share this way of thinking, as Jigen states that Koji is no more than a tool, which even Koji accepts himself. Anywhere in the Naruto verse, shinobi are hired to fulfill jobs for others, whether it's to walk a dog or assassinate said person. Shinobis are used wherever in this verse, to the point where some people may think that they are just merely tools. And this is what Jigen and Koji both have in common. They share the same ideology. Jigen thinks shinobis are mere tools and have no purpose of their own, while Koji embraces it and keeps pushing forward. This theme is continuously emphasized many times throughout this fight, which I'll refer later again in this video. Now, in the actual fight between Kashin Koji versus Jigen, Jigen is massively weakened from his beatdown on Naruto and Sasuke, to the point where Kashin Koji was able to keep up with him. And I do want to mention that the Jigen that beat Naruto and Sasuke is not the same Jigen that was fighting Koji. Jigen amped himself with 10 Tails chakra before his fight with the boys, and after the fight was over, Jigen's body began to crack and desperately needed to recover. Jigen was significantly weaker when he was fighting Koji than against Naruto and Sasuke, due to him still recovering from his battle and being less than 10% full power. I just wanted to clarify that point, since some people think that Koji is stronger than Naruto and Sasuke based off this battle alone.
Something is wrong with you!
But anyways, Koji is able to keep up with Jigen to the point where Jigen activates his karma, and not just his regular karma form, but his horned form, which was Jigen's strongest form. And while this fight is happening, Amato is telling Naruto how Jigen came to be. As mentioned before, Isshiki Otsutsuki is living inside Jigen's body and needs Kawaki as his perfect vessel. Not only that, Amato does reveal just how the Karma Seal works: a compressed backup file that downloads onto the user's body, extracting data over time, which allows the Otsutsuki to reincarnate through the vessel's body once the extraction is complete. The fight continues on as Kashin Koji continues to press Jigen even in his horned form. Even though it seems Jigen is starting to take over the fight, Kashin Koji is still persistent in taking down Jigen. And this is where Koji really shows off how high his battle IQ is, as he does Earth-style Dark Swamp, turning the floor into a bog, sort of like how quicksand works. Jigen is stuck in the ground, where he starts to absorb the jutsu using his karma. However, this is just a trap, as it sets up a summoning jutsu which catches Jigen off guard. Koji then summons a burning hellfire from some far away flaming mountains, which are not chakra derived, derived but are natural flames. The one weakness of the Karma Seal is that it cannot actually absorb all ninjutsu based attacks. Instead, the Karma Seal can only absorb ninjutsu that is only derived by chakra. We saw this in the Boruto fight where Kawaki was unable to absorb Boruto's dark mist viruses due to it being made of physical matter and not chakra based. This explains why Jigen was unable to absorb these flames due to it not being chakra derived but real natural flames. What's so interesting about this is that Kashin Koji had to learn about this weakness that the Karma had due to him infiltrating the Leaf Village and trying to learn just how the Karma Seal works. Koji spent many days observing both Boruto and Kawaki, and through that time he learned how the Karma Seal works, from its absorption capabilities, healing properties, and the ability to use space-time ninjutsu. And let's not forget, Koji even snuck a frog into the battle between Jigen and Naruto and Sasuke, where he was able to witness Jigen's fighting capabilities at full display. So he was able to learn Jigen's fighting style and learn to set up this trap to counter his karma absorption technique. That's how calculated Kashin Koji is as a fighter. Anyways, as these flames continue to engulf Jigen, Jigen begins to shrink the flames using his Sukuna Hikona technique, where he has the ability to shrink himself and any non-living objects at will. However, at this point Jigen has reached his limit on using Isshiki's powers due to having such a low chakra reserve from the beginning of the fight, and suddenly the flames overtake Jigen, killing him in the process. Going back to Konoha, Amado explains that killing Jigen will allow Isshiki to resurrect. However, as Amado explains this, Kawaki undergoes a phenomenon with his karma. Kawaki actually loses the Karma Seal in the process, and this is because Isshiki had reincarnated through Jigen's body. We eventually learn that when an Otsutsuki revives himself through a vessel, the other vessels that have the same Karma Seal for that specific Otsutsuki will have their karma erased, which is what happened here with Kawaki. And this is where we get probably the best part of the fight, Kashin Koji versus Isshiki Otsutsuki. We finally get Isshiki revealed for the very first time, and it was very unique as we find out that he had his own special dojutsu alongside having a Byakugan. Isshiki flexes his unique dojutsu as he begins to literally shrink everything in the room against Koji, from the pillars, the chairs, and even Koji's mask. Koji even states that Isshiki might be able to destroy the entire time space that they're in from Ishiki's dojutsu alone. Going back to the whole shinobis being used as tools theme, Amado explains that Kashin Koji has served its function, aka his purpose in existing, and that is to kill Jigen, to lure out Isshiki Otsutsuki. Now that Koji has fulfilled this duty, he is not needed anymore. His use as a tool was done and was ready to be thrown away. Even Naruto realizes that Kashin Koji was not needed anymore in the fight and was going to die once Isshiki reincarnated. Naruto felt so bothered with the fact that Koji was going to die that he didn't know how to explain it why he was truly concerned about Kashin Koji. Well, this is because Naruto recognized how Kashin Koji fights. Amado had broadcasted a majority of the fight before Isshiki resurrected using his glasses, which served as a projector. Naruto even hinted that Koji fought just like a certain someone. It's like ... which is implying it's like Jiraiya or someone else that Naruto could recognize from their fighting style alone, which loops back to the Kashin Koji identity theories. Is Kashin Koji actually Jiraiya? Well, we do get our answer when Isshiki breaks Koji's mask using his dojutsu, which reveals that Kashin Koji is a Jiraiya clone. What makes this reveal so unique is that this is a Jiraiya clone, which continues the theme of science and technology pushed in the Boruto series. Clones of other people and modified humans are nothing new, as we've seen people like Mitsuki, for example, who is an Orochimaru clone. Shin Uchiha is a modified human who was also created by Orochimaru. The fabrications in the Mitsuki Will arc is also another example. Modified people with insane powers is a regular theme, as in the Vessel arc, Ao stated that reaching the power levels of the likes of Naruto and Sasuke is nearly impossible due to how strong they are, and training to that level can almost never happen. That's why the Car organization as a whole are insanely powerful. The members aren't genetically strong, but instead their modified bodies from the likes of scientific ninja tools give them the power to fight powerhouses to the levels of Naruto and Sasuke. We see this with Delta, as even though she wasn't able to defeat Naruto, she still had the capabilities of keeping up with Sage of Six Paths Naruto. And yes, even though Naruto did suppress his power, Delta being able to force Naruto to fight at his maximum form is impressive nonetheless. Same goes for Kashin Koji. He was able to kill Jigen even though Jigen was severely weakened, and was able to somewhat battle Isshiki later on, which I will talk about later in the video. But I do want to say that Isshiki did mention that Koji will die due to his predestined fate in genes. I'm going to reference my video I made on Kashin Koji on why Amado chose Jiraiya to make a clone out of. And the one thing I do want to mention is that since we do know that Kashin Koji is a Jiraiya clone, the one thing that Isshiki did mention is that they share the same fate. Of course, with Jiraiya, the way he went out, he made a very noble sacrifice, sacrificing himself against the Six Paths of Pain in order to gain more intel. And this intel served a very vital role in the win against the Six Paths of Pain, especially when Naruto fought them in Konoha. Essentially 16 years later with Kashin Koji, Isshiki even said the same thing. You're gonna be just like Jiraiya, just like the the person you were modeled after. You're going to die just like him. You share the same fate. All people have a predestined fate. And what's pretty interesting about this fate that Isshiki was saying about Kashin Koji was that Kashin Koji managed to escape this fate, this predestined fate that Kashin Koji had since he was remodeled after Jiraiya. Jiraiya had this fate where he was going to make this noble sacrifice, and just like Kashin Koji, it seemed like he was going to make that same sacrifice. However, he escaped in the end. He managed to escape. And the one thing I also do want to mention was that Kashin Koji didn't seem to actually acknowledge that Amado used him. Amado used him just to take down Jigen to drag out Isshiki, and after that happened, Kashin Koji had no purpose. Isshiki acknowledged it, Amado acknowledged it, Naruto acknowledged it, but not Kashin Koji himself. It seems like he doesn't want to acknowledge that he was just used to take down Jigen and lure out Isshiki. He served no purpose anymore, so once he actually escaped from Isshiki and managed to survive, his fate was changed. His destiny of being a noble sacrifice, just like how Jiraiya was against Pain, was changed. Now we get to Boruto chapter 48, which is the climax of the fight. This is where Kashin Koji begins to use all of Jiraiya's jutsus, such as Art of the Raging Lion's main technique, a cool callback while fighting Isshiki. However, Isshiki is not even bothered by these jutsus as he tells Koji that he has no chance against him. Isshiki tells Koji that he lacks the power to take him down and has fulfilled his role in dragging Isshiki out of Jigen. Going back to the theme of shinobis being used as tools, Isshiki reveals to Koji that he is not a heroic shinobi tool, but a sacrificial pawn that is not needed anymore. However, Koji does not seem to care that Isshiki told him this as he transforms into Sage mode. This battle isn't just about Koji killing Jigen and trying to take down Isshiki, but also for Koji to prove Isshiki a point, that Kashin Koji isn't a tool to be used, but a shinobi that never gives up. It's something that Jiraiya was just like when he fought the 6 paths of pain. As he was dying, he said, "You're wrong, that's not what makes a shinobi. A real ninja is one who endures no matter what gets thrown at him." Let me explain something to you. There is only one thing that matters if you are a shinobi, and it isn't the number of jutsu you possess. All you need is the guts to never give up. This is what Koji and Jiraiya shared, the will to never give up. This fight was more than just a clone trying to take down a god, but a battle of ideologies. Isshiki thought shinobis are tools that have no purpose in life, while Koji tried to prove him wrong and showed his will to never give up. That's why Koji continued to fight, not just to take him down, but to prove that Isshiki was wrong. What's so interesting about this is that Isshiki told Koji that he lacked the power to defeat him and will die in this battle, but Koji didn't seem to care. Isshiki, Amado, and even Naruto all acknowledged that Kashin Koji is going to die while fighting Isshiki, but Koji did not acknowledge that thought himself and began to fight back. And Koji manages to hold his own against Isshiki, throwing punches, adding fire on top to amplify his attack, and even managing to catch a punch from Isshiki, which is a crazy feat considering what Isshiki was able to do to Naruto and Sasuke. Isshiki does damage Koji at one point, but Koji continues to fight. I do want to say that once we get to Naruto and Sasuke versus Isshiki, Isshiki is literally one-shotting the likes of Sasuke with basic kicks, so the fact that Koji got hit by Isshiki and managed to keep fighting is very impressive in itself. This is where Koji brings out his strongest jutsu, the 5 Fire Gods Fan of Flames, which engulfs the fire around both Koji and Isshiki. This forces Isshiki to use his dojutsu to shrink the flames, but at the same time, Koji uses a massive Rasengan from the other side. What makes this so impressive from Koji is that he actually manages to counteract Isshiki's shrinking ability, and with Isshiki's shrinking technique, the Sukuna Hikona, the way it works now that he has been revived, it works through his dojutsu. And we don't know the actual name of Isshiki's dojutsu, maybe it gets revealed later down in the line of the story, but the way it works is that Isshiki has to be actually looking at the object that he wants to shrink. We saw this in Boruto chapter 50 when Naruto was fighting Isshiki. He summoned 2 Rasengans in his hand, and Isshiki was able to quickly shrink both Rasengans in an instant just by looking at them through his dojutsu. And with his dojutsu, he can't shrink things that he cannot see. We saw this later down the line of Boruto chapter 50 when Naruto and Sasuke were jumping Isshiki. Naruto had control of Isshiki in his hands using Kurama's powers, and Sasuke came up from behind trying to use the Chidori. If Isshiki had the ability to shrink anything around him, he would have been able to shrink Sasuke's Chidori, but he didn't. That's why he summoned a bunch of cubes, which is one of his techniques to protect himself. Had he had the ability to shrink anything around him, he would have, especially against Sasuke's Chidori, but he didn't, which proves that Isshiki has to be looking at the object he wants to shrink. He can only shrink things when he is simply looking at it. He cannot shrink anything that he is not looking at, or else it wouldn't work. This is what Koji was going to counteract. On one side there was one big flaming jutsu, and on the other side there is a massive Rasengan. Koji was counting on the fact that Isshiki was going to shrink either the Rasengan or the flames. If he shrunk the Rasengan, he's getting burned by the flames. If he shrunk the flames, he's getting ripped apart by the Rasengan. Had he picked either jutsu to shrink, he would have gotten massively injured since both attacks were amped by Sage mode, which is a huge multiplier on Koji's jutsu. jutsus. But this is where Isshiki introduces a new ability to stop both attacks, which is his Daiku Koden ability, by summoning pillars on top of Koji. These same pillars are from the room that they were fighting in, where Isshiki has the ability to shrink objects into his own pocket dimension and bring them out back to their original size. Even while in Jigen's body, Isshiki did indeed use his Daiku Koden ability against Naruto and Sasuke by enlarging rods into their bodies. Anyways, the pillars take out Koji, and this is where the fight ends, as Isshiki is the winner. It was expected though, as Isshiki, Amato, and Naruto knew that Koji had no chance of winning once Isshiki resurrected, but he still managed to hold his own, which is very respectable. Isshiki then flexes his Daiku Koden ability by summoning some wine to celebrate his victory, which looked cool as hell. But Koji did manage to escape from Ishiki's grasp by reverse summoning himself out of the fight and escaping this fate that Jiraiya had, as mentioned before. And I do want to say, for this fight, the art style and choreography was really good. And I'm not gonna cap here, one of my biggest criticisms when it comes to the Boruto manga is the art itself. Sometimes the choreography isn't the best for some fights, but when it comes to a fight like this, he definitely balled the hell out. Ikemoto did a very good job when it came to drawing Kashin Koji's jutsus. Everything was slowed down, you can really feel the impact of each jutsu, even though those jutsus didn't really do anything against Isshiki. The way it was drawn, the way the panels were slowed down to portray Kashin Koji using these jutsus, it was very unique, man, because when it comes to Ikemoto, when he does draw his jutsus, when it comes to the paneling of them, he kind of rushes to the final product, wants that action shots instead of slowing things down. But when it comes to a fight like this, he definitely slowed things down a bit, which did have some impactful shots, especially when Kashin Koji was in Sage mode and we saw him use the 5 Fire Gods Fan of Flames. I just know when that shit gets animated, that's gonna be hype, man, because that panel right there, even if it wasn't anything too specific, it was a very good panel from Ikemoto. And the fight overall, when it comes to the choreography and when it came to this fight, this was his best performance. When it comes to drawing a Boruto fight, I don't think there's any other better drawn fights than this fight right here. He did a very good job when it comes to the paneling, he slowed things down. Even though this fight kind of became one-sided once Isshiki resurrected, Ikemoto did a very good job showing that Kashin Koji was still putting up a fight, showing that he's still in this fight trying to win, but of course in the end he does indeed lose. He did a great job showing off Ishiki's abilities to shrink everything, Kashin Koji's powers. Even though Koji did lose in the end, he did a very good job against Isshiki, I gotta say. This man took a punch from Isshiki and continued fighting. And if I'm being real here, not many characters can take an attack from Isshiki and continue to fight. I don't think there's many characters from Shippuden alone, probably a very select few, considering that even though he lost to Isshiki, so did Naruto and Sasuke. Naruto got destroyed, Sasuke got destroyed, Naruto got a whole ass form and still lost. Like, that's how strong Isshiki is. So the fact that Koji was able to do this, counter one of his abilities, take a punch and survive in the end, that's very impressive, man. This is like the strongest villain we have ever seen in the Naruto franchise, and the fact that you're able to survive his onslaughts, that's very impressive, man. But let me know what you think about this video in the comment section below. If you're still watching this, I do appreciate it for being here for so long. This video is mad long, bro. The script I wrote for this fight was very long. As you can see, it is very long. It took a long time to write. I did take a week off, but this video took another week to make. I wanted to come back with a much longer video because I know some of my videos, I do make like 8 to 12 minute videos, which is very good for the YouTube algorithm, but at the same time, I always wanted to make more analysis type videos, so why not just make a fight on the best fight on Boruto, man. And also, are you ready for this fight to be animated in the future? Because this fight is going to be absolutely insane. This fight's actually going to be animated very soon. It's supposed to be animated at the end of August, near the beginning of September. Maybe if you're watching this video now, it's already been animated, but I do want to say that I cannot wait to see this fight animated because this is the best fight in the Boruto manga. The way it was drawn, the setup, the execution, the build up, the themes that were pushed, there's no other fight like this, man, if I'm being real. Of course, there are other amazing fights in Boruto that have very good thematic topics, like the Momoshiki fight, for example, where they did establish Naruto and Boruto's relationship. But I do want to say that I don't see any fight in Boruto topping this in a very long time. But I do want to say that this is my favorite fight in Boruto, and that's my case on why this is the best fight in the Boruto series so far. I'm hoping we get another fight like this because there was so much build up and the reveals paid off too, man. Like, this fight overall was just so good. Let me know what you think about this fight in the comment section below. Did I convince you that this is the best fight, or do you think there's another fight? If you think so, that is perfectly fine. There are so many good fights in Boruto that I lost count at this point. So let me know what you think about this video in the comment section below. So if you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe, hit the bell as well, and have a good day. Peace.